just on one of the things that you mentioned in terms of a universal salary. I will not be in support of that. And for this very reason, you're giving people money and they're probably not educated on what to do with it. So you may find some people using that money to go to a casino, to go and play playway, to go and spend it on a gold chain, to put rims on their car and stuff. And I don't think that we are a mature enough society now to handle something like that. I would like to see universal services, much as how we have universal education, universal healthcare, and so on. I want to see services so that if you have to access welfare, much as how we have these food cards and so on, there are certain things that you can get under that. You can't go and buy tobacco, you can't go and buy alcohol and so on. So there are restrictions on those things. You're expected to buy the basics that you and your family would need. Now, of course, there are people who take advantage of that, but at least the way I see it is that you're using this, or you're supposed to, the intent is to use it for these basic items alone. Whereas if I give you money in your bank account, you can use that for all kinds of nefarious activities. So I want to see services that work as well. So CDAP is a good idea in terms of its intent, but the way it's executed is the problem. And we need to have proper independent bodies monitoring and evaluating these programs that are put in place by the state.
Yeah, no, the thing is, okay, so it doesn't matter where money comes from, people will spend it on what they spend it on, right? So even with the universal basic income, yes, you'll have some people spend it on drugs, some people will spend it on rims for their cars, some people might spend it on tobacco, right? But just for you to be able to restrict it means you'll have to be able to monitor it. Just for you to be able to monitor it means that now you're going to have employ a whole team of people, just to monitor this program. Whereas if it's just a universal income, they can spend it on whatever they want. You need no form of monitoring, right? Yes, you will have some people spend it on bad stuff, but you'll also have people spending it on good things. And it will give people the opportunity to take financial risks, like the guy buying rims. He could probably be taking rims to buy and sell, or rims to tear apart to figure out, if he could straighten a rim properly and start his own business. But by restricting him to say, no, you could only buy bread and diapers on this, well, he could never take the financial risk to buy things that do make fiscal sense to, get involved in those kind of entrepreneurial activities. So that's the counter argument to something like that.
You see, the thing is, I would anticipate that a universal salary might be, who knows, in our context, something like $1,500, $2,000 a month. I don't expect it to be a $5,000 or something like that. So I would not see, for me, I just will not see the link between someone using that $1,500 a month to go and start a rim company where they, or repairs or what have you. I think that should be for the basic things. Now, if you want to enter your entrepreneurial endeavors, that's where, okay, you go out and you work and you get the money to be able to invest in those other things. But at least when it comes to breakfast in the morning or lunch or whatnot, you have money to deal with that. To a point of yours, I think that employing people to do monitoring and evaluation will help stimulate the economy. I want to see more opportunities where, be it short-term employment rather than this CPEP and URP. I believe unemployment relief can come in the form of we want to digitize Trinidad and Tobago, all our records and stuff. You employ people for be it a 2-year period or however long, a bunch of people, you give them the skills, the opportunities, everything, and they be a part of that data entry. You have a steady stream of income coming in for this 2-year period, and you're getting experience as well. Because one of the things that we love to ask people in this country is for experience, but how do we expect them to get experience when they have no opportunities? So we need people now more than ever to help build out the systems that are necessary for this country to move forward. So to set up the agencies, to have the public entities, and monitoring and evaluation, because we have so many students coming out of university with the research skills that are necessary. We have so many persons coming out as social workers but have no opportunities. So things like that, I see those as opportunities for them to put what they've learned to practice. And I would really strongly say that it will cost, it's like a capital expenditure. You inject this money now, and it will save you billions down the road.
Not
Because
only that, but this will also stimulate.
it will stimulate
the economy.
the
as well.
economy. So you have people who have greater buying power, even if it just means $1,000 more than what they're accustomed to, or whatever it is. It's something that money is going to come back into the country. Even when you look at Venezuela as well, these Venezuelans coming here, they're going to be spending a large portion of their money right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, they will probably send back money for their family or what have you. But for as long as they are here, they are going to be buying. They are going, and VAT is being paid.
Yes, the question with that is the money that they're using to buy things, is that money that would have already been used to buy things, or is that money that they are creating now? Because if they took a job from a trainee, just using basic argument, I know that's not the case, right? But let's say if they take a job from a trainee and they're spending this money now, they're not creating anything, because this is money that just he can't spend. It's just somebody else different spending
But
it.
what jobs are these Venezuelans taking? Realistically, what are they taking? They're taking bar jobs. They're taking, for lack of a better phrase, these menial jobs. You're not seeing a Venezuelan coming and taking an admin assistant job or a clerk 1 or clerk 2.
Well, they want to. Well, some of them want to be teachers now. I think they had some.
A woman who said that she was a teacher in Caracas, and she does not want to work in a bar.
I can't blame her for that.
I blame her not. She has her aspiration. Whether her aspirations line up with the reality is two different things. But I see that if she has the skills, she may be working, because a lot of trainees, I don't know if you know, but a lot of trainees go abroad to places like, I've been to Tokyo, I've been to Paris, where you have Trinbagonians, Caribbean people as well, teaching English to these persons in schools, and they go over there for like a year or two or whatever the case is. So we need Spanish teachers in Trinidad and Tobago. We need people who will come in, and it's that kind of immersion, a different way. So it's not necessarily saying, when you go into the classroom, you're not speaking English and saying, well, this translates to that. It's that kind of conversational stuff. So if she wants, I'm sure she should be able to get through with something like that. But the reality is, many of them, the majority of these Venezuelans just want any kind of work. You're not going to see a Venezuelan.
So they're open to be exploited.
Yeah, you're not going to see.
They are being exploited in a lot of ways.
You're not going to see a Venezuelan being the new CEO of NGC.
Well, you're not going to see me be the new CEO of NGC either.
So, and that's my thing.
Yeah, but to come back to something you're talking about, we're talking about these jobs, like the digitization of our records and stuff, right? So if you're looking at unemployment relief in a form of giving people jobs that actually make sense. Now, if that is the argument, I fully support that, because yes, I think having 40 people to cut one strip of grass on the side of the road, when you could get one John Deere, lawnmower to do it, all you're doing, I would think it would be better to just give these people the money and tell them stay home, because at least now they're free to do whatever. And yes, you might say they might go and buy drugs or whatever, or they might go and buy things that don't make sense. But guess what else somebody might buy? If they know that they don't have to buy only the necessities. Somebody might go and buy herbal soaps, something like that. They might be free to try new things. They actually have some studies going on. They had a study in the 60s in the States, and they almost passed the universal basic income. And the conservatives shut it down because they thought that it was too low, right? So they actually almost passed it. And then, later on, the study came out and they showed that divorce rates went up, and the conservatives thought, no, we can't have that. And I think that was later shown to be not entirely true. But so the U.S. government has been studied in the 60s, that's 50 years ago, and found it actually makes sense. They have, I think, there's a bigger study in Canada right now and one in Sweden. I think it's Sweden, somewhere in Europe. I think that one is either a 1 year or 2 year study. So they have studies going on right now, and the results are very promising. Because at first I was like, the same thing as you. You give people money, they're going to spend it on shit that don't make sense. But you're seeing that you give people money, and it's like, well, wait, I'm looking at what these people will buy. But if somebody give me this money for free, what would I buy? And I realized, but the things I would buy would make sense. And when you try to actually have trust in other people, till you realize, but this person not that much different than me. The majority of people will buy things that make sense.
But the only other thing that I would think about is economic volatility. So with Trinidad and Tobago, seeing that our economy is largely dependent on the energy sector and what we've been seeing taking place, let's say there is a sharp dip in our income, our revenues, we still have a responsibility to follow through with that universal basic salary. How then do we deal with that? So that would be one of my concerns. Would we have enough reserves? Would we have enough money put aside to treat with this? Because if pensions right now is a problem, you're hearing that, and when you think about pension, that in itself is a universal basic salary for persons, for retirees.
Right, exactly.
But if the NIB can't even manage its fund properly, and you have all these restrictions because the government is not updating the legislation to allow them to borrow or to invest rather in foreign accounts beyond a certain threshold. We're having these problems now. Just imagine what would happen when you have to pay 1.4 million people a universal basic salary.